going to call the Charter Review Commission to order. First up is roll call. Cynthia?
Herval,
Here.
Knight,
Here.
Ford,
Here.
Villalobos, Walsh,
Here.
Glickler, Kirkwood.
He's online.
I'm here.
There he is. Okay. All right, moving on to item number Roman numeral 2, approval of the minutes. Did everyone have a chance to review? Do we have any changes, comments, or concerns? Do I hear a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Knight, seconded by Commissioner Ford. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
passes. Okay, motion passes 5-0. All right, moving on to Roman numeral 3, citizen comment period. Charter Review Commission welcomes comments from citizens. Those wishing to speak are encouraged to speak now. Is there anyone wishing to speak? Not seeing any citizens, we will move on to Roman numeral 4, consider and possible action. Consider approval of the recommended changes to Articles 1 through 13 of the City Charter. Amy?
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Amy Alcorn Reed, City Attorney for the record. This item is to look at the proposed changes that we've made going through the charter. I'm going to ask Cynthia to pull up the red line so that we can have it on the screen. And I want to start with 12.04 because we had some discussion on moving some language from 3.08 and copying it into 12.04. Last meeting, I took a shot at it, so I want to let you guys look at it before we move on to anything else. If you could drag down to 12.04. On page 40. So 12.04, the last sentence, I think we approved last meeting. The sentence right before that, that's also in blue, was my attempt to try to make sure that everything that's required in 3.08 is also required in 12.04.
I move to approve the new wording under 12.04.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay.
Discussion?
Discussion.
Okay. I have one question. How do we determine the moment that the officer or employee knew or should have known? How do we determine that?
That's a factual determination, so it's based on the facts of the issue. So say you have a family member who is the owner of a business, and you may not. The assumption is that you should know that your family member is the owner of the business, but if you don't, then it's whenever you do determine that you have to stop participating.
And if they find out after the fact, hey, I had what do they used to call it, secret partnership on
Right.
this, or a background investment? If you find that out later, what happens?
They find that out later, they didn't know, and maybe they shouldn't have known. I mean, it depends. Like I said, it's a very fact-specific inquiry. So if they find out later, they don't participate in any future ones, but you can't go back and unparticipate.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So let me, one more question. So if a council member, so the council member cannot participate in any discussion whatsoever, even being in executive session over the item,
If they're
correct?
conflicted.
If they're conflicted.
That's what's in 3.08 currently.
Okay. All right.
So once you are aware of the conflict, you are supposed to recuse from deliberation and vote. That's in there on 3.08 currently.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Knight, seconded by Commissioner Ford. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion.
All right.
Aye.
And there is Stewart. Okay. All right.
And at this point, I'm open for any comments on other provisions. I know we had started going through these last meeting, and there were some that people wanted to go back and look at. So if we want to start at the beginning, if we want to jump around, just let me know.
I move that we approve the red line as stated with the revision of 12.04.
Okay. No,
Second.
okay, do we have any discussion? Is there any items anybody wanted to discuss before we go ahead and vote on it? Stuart, did you have anything?
I believe I'm good, except I'm sorry, I'm in an elevator going to my room. So was this the section that I asked about regarding the resources?
That's the next item.
Okay, I'm sorry, then I have no comments or no concerns. Thank you.
Okay, so so we have a motion by Commissioner Knight?
Okay, second.
You were the seconder, right?
Yeah, but I got to think about it. Did you mean the red line of the whole charter or just 12.04?
All of our revisions.
The whole
Well, he said he had a question about the next
Do we
one.
want to jump ahead and do the next item first
let's
and then
do
come back and
that.
vote on this one? We
Okay,
can do
so
that.
rescind your motion.
I rescind my motion.
All right.
Okay.
All right,
Whatever the one he was talking, I mean, go ahead and make your next presentation then, if you would.
all right, let's move on to item Roman numeral 4.3. Consider approval of possible changes to the city charter on benchmarking of natural resources or moratorium clauses to include state legislation. Amy?
Real quick, Cynthia, I've gotten an email from Commissioner Glickler that he's trying to log on. Can you send him the Ring Central link? Thank you. Okay. And then if we could pull up the presentation in the back. And give a real quick overview while we're waiting for the presentation. Just kind of go through it. I think the big takeaway from what I looked at is the state law, which has extreme limitations on moratoriums, time limits, that sort of thing. Yeah, I'll go through it. So, Commissioner request on June 5th was to do benchmarking on provisions related to natural resources and building moratoriums. The first thing I looked at was the state law. So that's Chapter 212 of the Texas Local Government Code, and it has restrictions on length of moratorium, findings you have to make, processes you have to follow. And then that was amended effective, I believe, September 1st. I have to go check if it got signed. I think, Ms. Knight, you already checked and it did get signed by the governor?
It was signed on
Okay.
Saturday, I believe.
So that is effective September 1st. It has even more restrictions on how to call for a building moratorium. So we have to be clear that anything we would do to have a building moratorium would have to follow that state law as in effect at the time. I also looked at what's in our charter because I think we hadn't really searched the charter when we were asking this question. So here's the language that's in our charter. We have a kind of general language about facilitating adequate services while protecting the natural resources of the city. I benchmarked our 10 peer cities. These are our 10 peer cities. And about half of them have really similar language to what we have. In fact, Leander is nearly identical, if not fully identical. But none of them have anything that's really more specific on if and when the charter would require some sort of building moratorium or anything like that. So the option would be to either continue with the current language, which does provide for some focus on preserving natural resources, or to recommend different language. Unfortunately, I don't have any benchmarked language to look at because the other charters have pretty much the same language that we do.
I think the only reason to include anything about a building moratorium would maybe be to say it's prohibited. Because it's allowed under state law, right? And then what the city council does is they do an ordinance. So I think it's already addressed in state law.
So option 1 sounds like the best bet.
Yeah, I don't have that in front of me.
Option 1 is to leave the charter as written, or recommend leaving the charter as written.
I agree.
Who was that?
I can't tell if that was
Glickler.
David or can we
That was
get
that was David.
speakers on screen?
Yeah,
Who was that?
That was
Glickler.
Glickler.
Oh, Glickler.
So, Stuart, did you have something else that you were looking for, or?
No, like I said, I was just throwing it out there to see if we needed to make any changes. So if the recommendation is to keep option one, we keep, or option one is the recommendation to keep the language, then let's just keep language.
Okay. So, Amy, if a homeowner, or I'm sorry, not a homeowner, but a landowner, sells their property to a developer, and we're in a worse drought than we are now, the city can have the option to put a moratorium on building? With the-
There are restrictions for moratoriums, but yes, we can put temporary moratoriums on buildings.
You
But
can't do
I believe
commercial.
you can't do it on a specific one. You can do it,
Yeah,
area-wide, citywide. But it's limited to 180 days total at the end of the day.
Okay.
It's not very long.
It's not very long at
And no
all.
renewal on that?
It's 90 days with one renewal, so it's 180 days all told.
Oh, wow.
And it's a lengthy process to get there. It's not just go and have a vote.
and it's more lengthy now than it
Right.
used to be.
Okay.
Now, if
Okay,
the
I'm a new
developers-
resident, I'm part of the problem, I apologize for that. But I gotta tell you, I've never lived in an area that suffered droughts to this extension, where you had to, who was it talked about their grass last week, or 2 weeks ago?
That's me.
That was you, yeah. I agree. And to find out I couldn't water my foundation was a bit of a problem for me too, because I've seen my house in Louisiana, I had some shrinkage around the foundation on it. It worried me a lot until I found out I should water it.
A little bit off topic, but you can water your foundation once a
Can you?
week under
I
our
was
current
told you
restrictions.
couldn't. Okay. Plus, I'm not on City of Kyle water. As somebody else mentioned, I think it was Mr. Villalobos, mentioned the number of providers in the city. I'm not on City of Kyle. so-
Oh, I don't know what other providers
Yeah.
have on their
I haven't
restrictions.
seen anything in my company's water rules about that. But I was able to do it for 2 weeks up until about 4 months ago, or 2 days a week, up until 4 months ago. I never did, so. I tried to play along with Kyle because I didn't want a neighbor saying, yeah. But anyhow, I think it's necessary to hold up buildings sometimes. I realize they're working every day trying to fix the problem, but until it rains, until we get a few monsoons, it's long, slow monsoons. It's not gonna get fixed.
So, Alex, we were discussing Roman numeral 4.3, which was the potential changes to the charter based on benchmarking of natural resources or moratorium clauses to include state legislation. And Amy's recommendation is to continue with the current language, because the charter has sufficient language to allow for conservation of natural resources.
The short story is nobody has more specific language than we do that I've found. We all have pretty similar language.
It was a wild goose chase in looking for a policy that we could use for the county level on developments out into the county. And I went all the way through the state and asked the same questions. And, there's a caveat to that when you start controlling those types of things in developments, as we continue to lose more and more control over local developments, that we don't want to cross the line when it comes to those types of things. So we have to be careful and balance that. So I understood that as the chief of staff for the county, with a lot of guidance from the state and some prompting from the state. So
We also discussed that HB 2559 did pass and has been signed by the governor, so that puts further restrictions on a city's ability to institute a building moratorium.
Okay, do I hear a motion to consider leaving the language as it is, option one?
Do we
I
have
move
to
to
take
leave
it?
it as it is.
We don't need to take a,
We don't have to, we could just move on, but you can vote or not.
Yeah, just move on.
okay. All right, so let's go back to Roman numeral 4.2. Consider approval of recommended changes to Articles 1 through 13 of the city charter. Ms. Knight.
Yes, I'd like to move that we accept all of the changes that we've made over the last few weeks, including the new wording under 12.04 that we approved tonight regarding recusals.
Second?
Okay, so we have a
I third.
motion. All right. Motion by Ms. Knight, seconded by Commissioner Villalobos. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
unless there was some discussion. Sorry about that. All right. Moving on to Roman numeral 4.4, public hearing. Citizens hearing, the Charter Review Commission is seeking input from residents regarding suggested amendments to the city charter. A public hearing was opened at 6:47. And seeing no residents, we will close it at 6:47. All right. Moving on to Roman numeral 6.5, staff reports and presentations. Receive a report, hold a discussion, provide staff feedback regarding the Charter Review Committee's presentation and recommendation to City Council for a special election, November 4th, 2025, to consider changes to the city charter. Amy.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Amy Alcorn for the City Attorney for the record. So we did a presentation on this at the last meeting, and nothing really changed, so I didn't want to go through that presentation again. The point of this discussion is to see if there are any changes that maybe the commission wants to highlight that we haven't highlighted when we go to the council on Tuesday, July 1st, or if there's anything else we want to talk about on the process. As I said, it's currently scheduled for Tuesday, July 1st. My understanding is that Chairwoman Herval is available, so that's likely when we will be having that. It's currently on the agenda for posting on Friday. So if anyone has anything we want to discuss, my recommendation is that I'm going to email out that presentation I did a couple weeks ago to Ms. Herval. It's PowerPoint, she can adjust it, and then if there's anything that she wants to highlight that I didn't put in there, anything she wants to change, she can do that before we publish on Friday.
That's good.
Any comments, discussion?
I have none.
Stuart?
I think we're good.
Okay,
I think we trust Diane to take care of things.
okay.
Amen.
Will you need anything from us, Diane, at all?
No, if you guys want to attend, then,
Well, I'll be here.
We'll be there.
okay,
If I can, I'll be there.
okay.
I'm having surgery in 3 days.
Uh-oh.
Again.
I don't know, David.
I am shockingly available that day.
Yay. How about you, Stuart?
When is the meeting? I'm sorry.
July
1st.
1st.
Tuesday, July 1st.
I'll be there.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. That's good. All right. Other than that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second,
Second.
third, fourth, fifth.
Yay.
Happy birthday, Hannah.
Thank you.
You're missing the cake.
Yeah.